Welcome to Your Soul Biz Podcast, the place to be if you want to create a business and life you love. Tune in for uplifting content and interviews with inspiring women who are already living their purpose and turn their passion into a business they love. And learn how you can do it too. This show is your weekly dose of inspiration, insights, and motivation, as well as honest talks and shares about the journey as a female entrepreneur. My name is Michelle Pine and I'm your host. I'm a holistic life and purpose coach, multi-passionate lifelong learner, and entrepreneur. I'm so happy that you're here, right along on this exciting journey with me. Love, Michelle. Welcome to today's episode. I'm so excited and grateful that this busy woman took the time today to join us today and share her journey. She's not only the founder and co-owner of SBI Shanghai, the leading craft brewing ingredient supplier in China, also mom to little Kai and wonderful, loving wife to her husband Sven, and overall a very wonderful lady that I met a couple of weeks ago at a brunch here in Shanghai. And when I heard about her story, I knew I wanted to have her on my podcast. So welcome with me today, Wiebke De Groen. Hi.
Hey.
Hi, Wiebke. I'm so
Hi,
happy
Michelle.
you're here.
Thank you for the introduction.
You're welcome. I'm so happy that you're here and you're willing to take the time in your very busy day as a boss lady and mom to share your journey and give us some insights how you did it. Let's start at the beginning. I know from your background that you used to work in corporate at Oetker, so a big corporate, before you came to China. And even at the beginning when you came to China, you were also still working at Oetker. And then you decided almost 7 years ago to start your own company.
I started with Dr. Oetker right after university. I started as a trainee in finance and I loved working for Dr. Oetker. It's a German company, it's a family company, and I had a great time working for them. I worked in Germany and then moved with them to the US. Unfortunately, my husband didn't join me in the US. And at the same time, he was offered a job in Shanghai. So after 2 years in the US, I had to make a decision and unfortunately quit my job in the US with Dr. Oetker and move to Shanghai. I still remember sitting at Christmas together and just thinking about the move. I was never been in Shanghai, so okay, I just have to do it. And at the same time, my brother said, if you're thinking about moving to Shanghai, I actually know something you could consider doing. He was at the time still working for a big brewing company. And he said, well, been a few times and I know there's a lot of craft brewers that are not able to get any ingredients in China. So if you're thinking about moving, have a look at this opportunity. So a few months later, actually, I already had my first visit. I talked to some brewers who I met quite casually in a bar, and they said immediately, yes, we need ingredients. Yes, he's absolutely right. We can get a hold of some of these ingredients, but we need more. We need inventory here in China, and we can't do our job properly. So that went actually quite quickly. It was a very casual market research by just going to a bar and talk to a few brewers. But with their stories, it was immediately clear for me that this was an opportunity. Luckily, we just invested in a similar kind of company in the Netherlands. So I talked to them about how do you do this? What kind of ingredients do you have to buy? I had no idea. I was in finance for 5-6 years. I didn't know anything about ingredients for beer. I didn't know anything about logistics. Well, I didn't know anything.
Okay, maybe give a little bit background story. Why did your brother suggest that you get into the brewing field?
Yeah, so my family has always been in brewing. So we owned a big brewery for centuries. And my brother was still active as a purchaser, as a trader for barley. And my father at that time already sort of retired, which is not really wasn't really the case anymore after a few years when he invested in a few craft brewers. So they both were already really much into the industry, knew a lot of people in Europe, and they didn't really push me doing anything. They always said, look into it. If you need our help, just let us know. They obviously looked at the business case. They helped me financing the first couple of containers. But in the end, it was all my decision. And looking back to it, I don't think I thought about it too much. I know there was several times that I even regretted it. I thought, what have I done to myself?
Okay, thanks for being so honest. And thank you for sharing that. So you're coming from, your background is a brewer's family and it's there for centuries. So you have the background, and your brother nudged you in that direction, gave you the idea there's potential in the market. But as you said, it was your decision. You also actually said you were quite happy at Dr. Oetker, and you also worked for Dr. Oetker when coming to Shanghai. What made you then take this leap, make this decision, leave corporate and the safety, and then start this company without thinking too much about it, as you said?
I think the last thing really helped me. I saw the opportunity and I thought, well, if I'm not doing it now, then when will I do it? I mean, this is the best opportunity I will get. I still love the company, Dr. Oetker, and I enjoyed working for them. They have been a great help when I just started the company. And maybe it was also seeing how they entered different markets that inspired me also to see the opportunities somewhere else. Mm-hmm. I think also a great foundation for my company is that I had that experience in finance, and I was always quite sure that the risk I was taking wasn't that big. I could always stop and go back. There wasn't too much money that would be lost in case of a default. I was able to manage the risk for myself quite well. I think for every company that starts, it's important to have a good finance, and you have to have the good margin. If you sell ingredients, if you sell products, you have to know that in the long run, you have to make money and you have to, well, obviously make a living out of it.
So I saw in your LinkedIn profile that you, for the first, I think, 2 years, you were still working for Dr. Oetker and on the side starting the business, right?
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
So was it like a full-time job at Dr. Oetker plus starting the company, or how was that?
No, I just worked there for 2 days a week. So I applied first with Dr. Oetker in Shanghai because that would be the ideal situation. I could just stay with Dr. Oetker and live in Shanghai. But the company wasn't big enough yet, so they could just need my help for 2 days a week. And I knew that it was only for a limited time. Until they set up their finance department and they've got enough knowledge inside the company to do it by themselves. So for me, it was a great way to get to know the Chinese market as well. They imported as well. They pretty much had the same type of distribution as we have right now. So that was a great way to learn.
Sounds like a perfect match, having this job for 2 days and being also in a safe environment, like being part of a team and learning about the market, and at the same time using that knowledge for your own company and building it up the rest of the week.
Yeah, it was still quite a challenge because in the first year, setting up a company in China takes several months where it's all about documents and getting the right licenses. So in that time, I still had quite some time to learn Chinese, for example, and to work at Dr. Oetker. Last year, it was much harder to combine the two jobs. At the end, I really had to juggle and see how to manage my time best.
Looking back, and then maybe also for the ladies out there, maybe being still in fixed jobs and corporate jobs, would you say it's a good way to do the transition from corporate to entrepreneur life? Or would you say next time you would just get out completely first and then invest all the time into your startup? Like looking back, what would you say? What is best?
I think it depends a little bit on your personality as well. People like to be involved still in the teamwork. That's what I really liked about still having a job at Utke, to be able to talk to each other about the problems you're facing in peer level. And I think that's one of the things that I miss the most about not being in a bigger company is I'm always the boss now. I have to make the decisions. And whatever I say is right, whether it's the case or not. Especially in China, where the hierarchy is so big and such a thing here. So this is what I still miss in daily life, just to work with the team, to learn about marketing opportunities, sales opportunities. How can we fix the problems? How can we work as a team towards the same goal? And now I have to have the same hat on with every decision I have. Okay, this is the marketing decision. I have to think about all the different kinds of aspects. But yeah, I think that's sometimes hard when you're an entrepreneur, but it also makes it challenging.
So how do you deal with this today then? You just mentioned there are different hats that you have to wear at the same time, and you don't have the peers, or maybe not a boss who gives you feedback, right? Like you are your own boss and the boss of
exactly.
your employees. How do you deal with this on a day-to-day basis? How do you get your inspiration or help?
Well, one of the biggest achievements of mine is that my husband joined me after 2 years, and we're now working together. He's much better in sales and marketing than I am. So it was a very good combination of having the back office, what I'm doing right now with logistics and finance, and he is more in charge of sales and marketing. And we can challenge each other now. And that's very nice to have. But other than that, I'm still challenged by my brother every now and then. He's very much involved. I get a lot of support from my father, who's also very involved when we still could visit each other. He was here many times a year, also as technical knowledge. He's a brewer himself, so he can support us in any way. So getting a lot of people around you is definitely something that I can advise. In Shanghai, you're very lucky to have a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of people who started their own business or are here to set up a different division for a bigger company even. They all go through similar challenges. You can learn a lot from each other. You just have to open up and willing to share your challenges and share your issues that you have with others.
So opening up, sharing problems, and don't be too proud about it, right? Get the help and advice. Okay.
Yeah.
Very good tip to take away. And I will hear some, because I talk with a lot of women, also a lot of my coaching clients are wanting to find their purpose and then turn it into a business. Some would say, of course, for Wiebke, I mean, she comes from a brewer's family, and now she also getting advice and help from her family, and now her husband. It's easy for her. I don't have the support in my life. What would you say to them? What would you recommend them? I mean, not everyone can have this background, but what would you say to them to still go for it?
Yeah, sure. I mean, this is a given, and I'm very grateful for having that support and having the background. And it's definitely great to have, no doubt about it. But I think if you're willing to take the next step, and if you find something that you're passionate about, then you can find the people around you who want to support you. And no matter if it's family or friends or in the business you're already in, you can always find people where they have the same passion, but also the things that make you achieve the goals you have. You do it by yourself. In the end, you have to work hard to make it happen, and you can't just rely on others to make a success. And this is something I've learned in China, is that you never assume, always be on top of everything, and that's how you succeed in the end.
100%. Of course, you have your background and family, but in the end, as you say, you did it by yourself. You made the decision to start it. You made the decision to follow through. And now your company is already running 7 years, or almost 7 years. And you're the leading craft brewing supplies and ingredients company in China. I mean, China. It's a huge, huge market.
Yeah, the funny thing is that when I came here, I thought, what I'm going to do? I'm going to set this thing up in China. Then in a few years, I can easily go to Vietnam and Cambodia and roll it out in whole Asia. That was my plan. And after 2-3 years, never going to happen. This country is huge, and there's so many opportunities here, and I have my hands full with this country. But I have to say, after 7 years, I'm now thinking again, maybe I should rethink it again. And maybe there are some opportunities in Hong Kong, in Vietnam, close by. So.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, opportunities everywhere. So it's just a matter of where you
Yeah.
want to go, right? Just one question
Yeah.
just popped into my mind because I have to be very honest. When I see women in brewing, was not the most like obvious combination. So would you say you're, because of your family history and everything, super passionate about the brewing, or are you more passionate about creating something like your company and impacting so many and helping so many people here with their businesses in China? Or why did you start this company?
Oh, there's definitely a deep grounded passion for brewing and for beer.
Okay, good.
And we grew up, I have two brothers, and my father was always working at the brewery. And so in the weekends, we would join him, we would make around, see how the beer was doing. It's always been there. If we would go to a restaurant, we would always know what kind of beer was served.
Yeah.
And this is a crazy thing. Only when I started here in my own company, I realized that it's part of my life. It's been part of our lives always, but you never realize this, and now you can share it actually, which is also great. It's a great bond we share now, father and daughter, going to a bar where we have our own ingredients, where we share the same passion.
Beautiful. That sounds good. So brewing and beer is your passion. It's in your blood almost, right? Like so deeply ingrained.
That's what people say, yeah.
Nice. So good. No, I just needed to double check. So very good.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Very good. Very good. And I want to touch back on one topic that you already mentioned before, the fact that one of your achievements is actually that your husband left his job while he came to Shanghai, right? And joined you in your company. First of all, congratulations. It's rare to see that actually men follow the woman. So I love to see that. Okay. So you already mentioned that it's good that you're now working together because he has talents for like more marketing and sales, you're more finance controlling, strategy. So it's good. You complement each other very well. So how is it? It's good for the business, but how is it for you as a couple working together day by day, 24/7 and living together too? How is it?
It comes quite natural. I get a lot of people asking this, and everyone's like, I don't know how you do it. Especially now in Europe, when everyone is in lockdown and they're 24/7 in their house and have to be at the same table the whole day. No, it comes very natural. In a way, we support each other, but we also challenge each other a lot. And we found a good balance in talking about the business, not at the dinner table, which was the first, I think, even 2-3 years. He's now 5 years in the company. The first 2-3 years, that's the only thing we could ever talk about. And even in bed, we're like, oh, you know what we should do? This and this and this. It reached a point where we were on holiday and just started making plans again about which product we had to import, and where we said, okay, this is enough. Obviously, we still have those moments. I mean, it's all passion and it's all the drive that we have to make this company a success, but you have to find moments also to talk about different things. And having a baby helps.
Very good. Now you're already touching the third topic. So thanks for sharing. I can understand there was a lot of passion about the business. We're coming to the next topic, the baby, because as a woman, I think that's a topic many are interested in, right? But just before we go to the baby and how you manage it all as a mom and as a businesswoman, one question, did you establish rules about this? Like, okay, dinner is no business, no mobile phone, or like, I want some practical tips for everyone. So
not really, but we're both quite open in receiving feedback and seeing it not as criticism. So we know that everyone has an off day sometimes. So when I don't feel like talking about work, I'm saying, let's not talk about work right now. And he has the same thing. So we'll just be open and try to find the moments not to think about work, because it is consuming a lot of your time. Especially he's doing the sales and marketing. He's in contact with a lot of customers, and that goes beyond business hours. So he's actually working all the time. So he also has to shut off sometimes. So I have to remember, don't bring work up when he's relaxing or something. Just be mindful about that. And yeah, it works quite well. I was not in the office for 3 months last year when I was on sort of maternity leave, but he really missed me, so that was a good sign.
Okay, good, good. Yeah, and now we are touching the topic of birth and baby. So baby Kai came in November, if I remember correctly.
End of October, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
End of October. You had just said you gave yourself 3 months of maternity leave, right? Or kind of, I don't know. Is that possible as
Kind of.
as a boss of a company?
I think it is possible. But my husband Sven, he really stepped in and took a lot of work from me. Actually, the day where he mentioned to our team that they couldn't contact me anymore is the day that Kai was born. So
Oh, wow. Nice.
That final thing that I really switched off was the moment that I could really relax and Kai was born. So you need to. I mean, there's no way you can do this without having some time for yourself. But on the other hand, doing this together means that when I'm switching off, Sven has to do the work. And obviously, that's also after a while not the best solution. So I started picking up things already after a few weeks, but stayed at home. And well, I'm just in the office for 1 month now, actually.
And how do you do it now? How do you organize your day? And do you go to office for the normal office hours like before, or how do you do it?
I go home a little bit earlier, and at night I can still do some calls with Europe, for example. Luckily, we're quite flexible being an entrepreneur, so you can make your own hours a little bit. So I try to work at home 1 day a week. Sven does the same. We have a babysitter, so that's a good solution.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Thanks for sharing. I think many mothers or moms to be are very interested in that. So would you say that you changed as an entrepreneur, like before becoming a mom and after being a mom, how you see things or do things? Did anything change or everything back to normal?
Now that I'm actually thinking about it, you are probably not so scared about not succeeding too much. You're a little bit more relaxed about the issues you have. Okay, we'll manage, don't worry. There's also something else important in your life right now where you want to spend time on. And so you have to find a good combination now and find a good balance. Definitely, we spent more hours at home, which changed a lot. As you know, Shanghai is a city where you can basically brunch, lunch, drink yourself through the day. So that definitely changed. But for my work, it changed that I'm working much more efficient.
Okay, very good.
I just want to have my job done and make sure that my head is empty when I go home and I have all my focus on Kai.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah, sounds good. So it's actually a good thing, like for all the women out there who may be afraid of having a baby and a business, it's actually making you more productive. Just to summarize what I just got out of it.
If you can find that way. I mean, the time when I was at home, that was the hardest part because I was at home feeling responsible for doing something, but still having a baby. And I was like doing one email a day, and I thought, this is the only thing I could do. And it was just too much, actually. So going to the office was much better than staying at home. In the office, I could just focus. But it was hard to combine working and taking care of our baby. I think it's impossible. It would be 2 jobs at once. So being back at the office is much better.
Yeah, to kind of keep the balance, right?
Yeah.
Now that you have a baby, have you ever considered that you don't want to work anymore? I mean, this may be totally awkward question for an entrepreneur.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, it goes through your mind, and especially our journey here in China is not forever. So if we want to leave it, how can you leave it? But also, if I want to be at home more, which responsibilities can I give to someone else? And even for Sven, can we find someone who's doing the same job? And we found that still very hard to do because no one shares the same passion we have for this company, and we don't feel the company is ready yet for someone else to take it over. So obviously you think about how maybe if I can stay at home but also start a different company, how can it work with SBI? So it's definitely something we think about, and we haven't really wrapped our minds around it and found the best solution. It's good to keep on looking in possibilities.
Yeah. Okay. So I already hear somehow there are already new ideas for new companies. Is that what I'm hearing out of this too?
Yeah. So when I say we tune down, we don't talk about SBI. We talk about other businesses. So that's our leisure time.
Okay.
Our biggest dream, and this is something we always have when we're on holiday, we want to have this house at the beach with a little brewery. I want to make my own pickles, my own jams, and this bed and breakfast idea. So we always keep dreaming and having ideas
Wonderful.
about the next steps.
Yeah, sounds beautiful. I can already see myself there visiting your bed and breakfast. Now that you describe it like this, very idyllic. Sounds good. Do you already know where this place, this house should be?
Always depends on where we are. So sometimes it's Spain, sometimes it's Italy, but we went to, where are we? Sri Lanka, and we said, hey, this could be a nice place as well. But I don't think that would be the place. But yeah, it's always good to imagine yourself somewhere.
Keep it flexible, right? Like until you find a place, it's also about finding the right place where you want it and settle down, right? Cool. Yeah. Good to know. Keep me posted about this. So looking back at the last 7 years, what would you say, what were your top 3 challenges in your journey and how did you overcome them?
I think in the beginning, I was always eager to do everything myself. So I unloaded the containers. I would go to the warehouse 2 times a week to prepare the orders. I would go to the bank to make all the payments, contact the customers. And after 2 years, I couldn't do it anymore. The thing I've learned is that you have to ask help. And we have now a wonderful warehouse who can do it much better than I can, obviously. And even for bank payments, I was so frustrated every time I went to the bank because it was a nightmare to make an international transaction. I had to bring all the stamps, all the documents, and I always forgot one. And I would be so frustrated for the full day, couldn't do anything else. And I just called our accountant and said, it really pisses me off. Can you do it? And he said, yeah, no problem. And I thought, oh my God, I should have done that a year ago. This is so stupid. I wanted to do everything as obviously I didn't want to spend any money on anything. I wanted to make sure that we could pay everyone, that we could survive. So that was one of the first lessons I've learned, to ask for help. And in many cases, actually, we didn't have to pay for anything. People were happy to help. No worries, we can do it. We do it all the time. We'll just add it to our daily work and no worry about it. So that was definitely the biggest lesson learned. Next challenge was to find the right people around me. I was alone in the office for 2 years. I interviewed like hundreds of people. Some of them would come for a week and then they quit again. It's not so exciting to work in an office when there's one girl sitting opposite of you, telling you to do everything. It's very difficult to find someone as a startup. In our field, I mean, we're not an exciting tech company who's making great products. So that was very difficult and still difficult to find the right people, to get people passionate about what we're doing. How to do it? Well, you tell me. I have no idea. We have a great team now, so I'm very lucky. I hope everyone stays forever. But
how big is your team now? in the seventh year?
We are 7 in the office.
Okay, nice.
7 people.
Okay,
Yeah,
very good.
yeah. But it's very difficult. We had a lunch about a few weeks ago with International Women's Day, and one of the guests, she said, well, we have to speak up as women. We have to show success more, because if we show success, more women think, okay, I can do it as well. So that's why I'm so happy that you're doing this. So I thought, okay, I have to do it myself. I have to show success. But then I came back to my office and I thought, oh my God, I don't know. I haven't achieved anything. I don't know. What have I done? So I think for women to show their success is very difficult. And we just don't see the things we've done. And you're asking me here, like, what is your biggest achievement? I mean, I have no idea. I do my job. Like, my people in my team say, I just do my job. And then I say, well, but you're doing a great job. What you're doing is making our customers' life much easier. They can make the best beers they want, and they have every ingredient available. They have all the knowledge. So your job is extremely important. And I have to tell that myself as well, that
exactly.
We're doing a great job, and we have achieved a lot in these years. That's still a difficult thing to do.
Such a good point that you're touching here, because I can observe so many women out there, from my clients and in general, who are, first of all, hesitant to start their own business because they doubt they can really make it. And then once they do it, they always downplay what they have already achieved. And I mean, same for you. You're being super modest here. You created this company and you're a co-owner, and it's the leading craft brewing ingredient supplier in China. And you're also providing employment to 7 people and your husband. So I find this is a huge achievement. And now you're also a mom and you're still handling it all. So yeah, that's the reason I got you here, because I was so inspired. I said, I need to talk to you on my podcast. And
no, it's definitely something you see everywhere. And I notice it by myself that I don't feel like talking about it. Many people always ask, oh, you should do a presentation about what you've done. I'm like, I have nothing to talk about. I just do my job. I have nothing to talk about. But yeah, you're absolutely right. There's not enough stories, and there's not enough people who talk about it. And we should support it.
Exactly, to inspire more and more women to step into their power and go what they dream about. Go for it.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for sharing your story with us today. And before this interview is coming to an end, maybe just one last question or one last advice. What would be your advice to women out there who are thinking about starting their own business but are super afraid to go for it? Or in general, what would be your advice to these women?
I think there's a few things. First of all, to start a business, you don't have to have this super idea about having a very innovative product or service or app. Do what you like, do what you're good at. What's your passion, what you believe in? And it doesn't have to be new. If you feel that you can do it better or have this special talent for something, then just follow that dream and make sure that you find people around you that support you. I think it's very important to have the support of others, friends, family, colleagues, and who can inspire you, who can challenge you a little bit from time to time, and who can push you maybe a little bit towards making the right decisions. Yeah, I think that's in the end, that's where the foundation is.
Thank you so much. What wonderful advice. Thank you so much for taking the time today and joining us today to share your story, inspire us, and give this valuable advice for us ladies out there. Here in Shanghai.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so happy to have you. Thank you. Yeah, that's it for today. Bye-bye.
Okay,
Thank you so much for tuning in today. If you like this episode, let me know by subscribing to Your Soul Biz Podcast and leaving me a review on iTunes or Spotify. This way I can keep the good stuff coming. If you don't follow me on Instagram yet, connect with me at Michelle Pine for more inspirations and insights. I would love to hear from you. So leave me a comment on the latest post with your biggest takeaway from today's episode. And before you leave, remember, the world needs you to be you and share your unique gifts. Go out, shine bright, and create a life you love.